if there's no real value in you trusting the person, I mean, if it's a matter of I'm depending on you to do something and you let me down, yeah, that's gonna have some kind of adverse effect. No answers. That's what today's episode guarantees. Okay. Today on the Ordinary Connection, we are talking about you and I, and the things that we do wrong and the things that we do right. And what the hell is the point of those things, right? So, we are going to start with our UAC as we tend to do. And this week, it's a short one. Peace is only relevant if you wake up and go to war elsewhere. If you awake in the middle of a war, you should be off balance. War is not the default. Okay? So, what the hell does that mean? I think that fighting a war, fighting a battle, is the easiest way to show that you care. Because saying something is a lot harder than saying nothing. And I don't mean biting your tongue, I mean accepting the ability to change as something that is not possible. And I don't mean person, I mean moment, event, outcome, those types of things. I think there's a certain level of influence that is based on what is it that you actually do when you put your best foot forward. It is if the only reason you couldn't date someone was because they couldn't give you their first date energy 30 times in a month, would you still date them? And the irony is you'd probably go bankrupt, but that's a whole nother conversation. I think there's a certain sense of irony in putting your best foot forward because our best varies daily, sometimes hourly. And who it is that you are at your best is different based on how it is that you're feeling and why it is that you're feeling that thing. For example, the best stressed version of you is very different to the best relaxed version of you. But if someone thought you were relaxed while you were stressed, they could confuse who it is that they're interacting with. Or maybe you're just really good at acting. Maybe you're really good at putting up the mask and pretending who it is that you need, pretending to be who it is that you need to be in order to fit into the spaces that you find yourself. But what if you don't like the person when the mask is off? Hell, what if you're the only person that likes the person when the mask is off? What if you think people can tell when the mask is off and that's why you got so good at putting the mask on? There's a certain there's a certain sense of interesting in what it is that I think people choose to speak about. I think I think when we get given an opportunity to talk, we generally freeze, we generally panic, and when you ask a lot of people, what are you thinking about right now? In that split second, in that moment, it's gone. So, how do you be less invasive? How do you how do you not piss as many people off by still having the conversation that it is that you want to have without necessarily it being dependent on them getting involved? It's not really a conversation if they're not involved, isn't it? And that's maybe where the first problem comes in. I think in giving myself a little bit more time to ruminate on thoughts, I'm learning that a lot of people talk and very few people communicate. And in case anybody would like to understand my definition of these things, because obviously I'm not going to use a dictionary or anything right now to define this, because we are doing the unscripted things still. Um, Communication is if I have a message that I want you to understand, we would only communicate if you received that message. Up until the point where you receive that message, we have not communicated. I have been talking at you. And I think that that is why the skill of communication is something that's so interesting to me, because it's not big words. It's seeing gaps in understanding. It's seeing holes in listening. It is seeing misinterpretation in facial expressions. It is reading body language and understanding discomfort. It's 200 things that have nothing to do with the words that you're saying. And the worst part about this whole thing is I can tell you that there are people that will never care about a damn thing that I just said, and they'll know how to communicate perfectly. You see, because I think when you are bad at something, you overanalyze how it is that one does it and how it is that you do it. And I think I suck at communication. I think I'm terrible at communication. It's one of the reasons I study and focus and try and learn as much as I can about it. But learning about communication is not communication. Just like learning how to be healthy doesn't make you healthy. You still got to get out there and do the work. You have to show up. So if you don't know how to practice communication, what does it matter whether it's healthy or not? And healthy communication is very different based on the type of bond you're creating. People can have a positive opinion of you based on the relationship that they have with you. And people in a different relationship can have a negative opinion on you because that relationship can be something very, very different to every other bond that you have. A lot of the times we don't hold space for that. It's the conversation of friends that say they date their friends. I think the more you are someone's friend, a lot of the times you kind of figure out that they're not the person that it is that you need to date. But there's an irony. I think the minute you've understood someone's character immensely, when you understand how it is that they are going to behave in situations that you are not near them on, that gives a certain sense of safety, a certain sense of comfort. And when that disappears, that's then when certain things don't occur. But yeah, it's all figments of my imagination, and I'm making stuff up most of the time. So it's all BS, right? But if I've never heard a concept, emotional labor, misunderstanding, miscommunication, competent love, reframing understanding, shadow work, these are words at some point I did not understand what it is that they meant. I didn't even understand what it entailed to be in certain things. But I did understand that at a point where I don't know, I can acquire information, and in acquiring information, I can decide if I can apply that and try and turn that into my information into something that looks a little bit like knowledge. And if I have an ability to learn from somebody else's experience, someone else's habits, someone else's choices, that looks a little bit different to knowledge and looks a little bit more like wisdom. Have you ever wondered what confidence, desire, or even mystery smells like? At Eden, we don't just make perfume, we handcraft experiences. Every bottle is a story, every note is a journey designed to awaken something in you. From bold, addictive perfumes to self care essentials like sugar scrubs, candles, and bath bombs, Eden is where luxury meets individuality. Our collections are inspired by timeless ideas, the seven deadly sins, the Ten Commandments, and the Garden of Eden itself, each fragrance pulling you into a world you didn't know you need to explore. So, if you are ready to discover your signature scent or indulge in self care that feels like it was crafted just for you, head on over to www.edenza.co.za and step into Eden and smell extraordinary. And the problem with wisdom is that maybe you'll never know. Maybe you'll never know you learned something from somebody else's experience. Maybe you'll accuse yourself of teaching yourself that lesson. Maybe you won't remember the work or the frame of work or the frame of the lesson that the person initially gave to you. Because if anybody truly was trying to teach you anything, they'd be glad and happy that you learned it. not that you remember who it is that taught it to you. Don't you think? Some of my favorite teachers are teachers that all of my other friends hated. It's just how it is. That's people, that's places, that's relationships, that's bonds, that's friendships. It doesn't matter. For every person that you enjoy, there's countless other people that don't enjoy that person for their own reasons. Okay, apples and oranges. Let people be apples, let people be oranges. Just be able to tell the difference when you are trying to interact with one or the other. But do not spend time interacting with an orange telling it to be an apple. And do not interact with an apple being upset that it doesn't taste like an orange. It doesn't make sense. Right? Okay, so middle of the episode mark, which means you know what to do if you have somebody that you think can enjoy, benefit, or even just that you want to watch, that you would like to watch me make a fool of myself. I think it's very easy for you to tell your friends, and your friends, about the Ordinary Connection podcast. Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe, so that we can get up to that 1,000 subscriber goal. They obviously, I did tell you last week, there's going to be a couple of changes with some of the episodes. I am trying to keep them tight. I'm trying to keep it very, very close to that 20-minute mark. I don't want to eat too much of your time. I want you to be able to give me the 20 minutes and then we move on past that. And whatever you figure out is something that you then reach out and talk to me about, because engagement is important, right? This week, we are also going to get into our standard song recommendations. And this week's song recs look a little bit like this. So I'm going to start with the song that I left off last week, which is going to be off of MJ Duke's new album, Here Till I'm Not. The song is Heart of Stone. Okay, so that's our first rec for this week. Then we are going to get into a little bit, again, we're all over the place. I'm going to go to an oldie, the whole Two Summer from Cole. I've been listening to this song a little bit more as of late, and I think it just needs to get its flowers. So Two Summer from Cole, Summer Walker and J. Cole. Then we are going to go to Few Good Things by Saba, featuring Aaron Allen Kane. And then we are going to go on to Maromo with Swallow My Pride. And our last track for this week is that last track? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. And then our last track for this week is Take It Slow by Any featuring Loyal Corner. Guys, if you've never listened to Loyal Corner, please do yourself a favor. Mans is my spirit animal. There's things that this guy says that I wish I had the guts to put into. I wish I had the skill, let me say, to put it into music to be able to do that. There is actually another thing. Just while I'm here. Okay, I'm gonna pose a question. It's a fairly simple thing. It's not big talk. It's not anything. It's just a question that's been playing in my head that I heard. I believe I heard it in a movie or something. I can't even recall it. Um, do I trust it because it's true, or do I trust it because I want it to be? Right now, with my little assumptions episode, I said something that I said a few things that people have kind of not really vibed with. But I think something that I need to get a little bit more into explaining is the thing I said about trust issues. Um, as far as you know, if I talk about dust issues, that's what I'm talking about, right? If I say my shoes are dirty, it just means my trust issues are triggered, and that's what we're gonna focus on. But anyway, I said that my assumption is that people that have trust issues are people that have trusted first, okay? And people that don't have trust issues are people that have only ever responded to trust. Now, there is a little caveat to that. I also think if you don't trust someone, you won't have trust issues. If there's no real value in you trusting the person. I mean, if it's a matter of I'm depending on you to do something and you let me down, yeah, that's gonna have some kind of adverse effect. Okay. And I'm learning a lot more about the fact that it is not okay for you to tell someone that something is not that deep. It's actually not your place. Even if your intention wasn't for it to be deep, you don't understand why that thing is deep, and maybe you should shut up a little bit and listen. Maybe you should understand where depth comes from, because maybe not everything is that shallow. Because that's been my new response when people tell me it's not that deep. And there's value, there's some kind of value in trying to understand why it is that the things that you do, the things that you say, and the people that you interact with, there's going to be value overlap that happens regularly. So just lean into it. Don't be a coward. I mean, you can affect somebody's life just by giving them a 5-10 minutes of your ear, especially if it's someone that you say you care about, you know? Yeah. Anyway, that is a weird little sidetrack. But yeah, this week's right. Oh, there my pen just broke. That's not fun. This week's writing prompt is a little bit. Oh, I actually have to read last week's writing prompt because that's what we said we're supposed to do. Okay, let's start with that, and then I will go into the tail end. So last week's writing prompt was you create. So this is what I wrote down. You create because you fear not leaving a legacy. How vain. You're concerned the story will be told in a way that doesn't capture who you are. How used to twisted words you must be. Is it stuck? Do you believe all words are tainted with broken promises and falsehoods? Can you find the truth? Should you be searching this hard for honesty? Right? So, yeah, I'm getting a little bit more comfortable with this writing thing. It is just taking some time. Okay, so the last bit of this video is obviously going to be our writing prompt, but before that, I'm just going to do a quick recommendation this week. If you are into Sherlock Holmes-esque things slash supernatural is, then the anime rec for this week is a Chinese animation called Lord of Mysteries. Um, Weird fight scenes, supernatural stuff that feed into each other because it's levels. None of what I said makes sense. But if you're into mysteries and stuff, it's peculiar. I have no idea where it's going. I think 11 or 10 episodes in. I still don't understand where the show is going, but I'm a big Sherlock Holmes fan, so that's where I'm getting caught. But anyway, our writing prompt for this week is going to be value added doesn't always look positive. Okay, so we are then going to run with that. But until the next time that we get some time to speak to one another, stay curious, stay kind, stay connected.